Hello guys, welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. There is a message that I want to share with you guys, and this message, it comes from a translation of a message that I received, and the translation of that message reads like this. Hello my brother, how are you? I am a woman who is aged 23 years old. I only had a single child. This was after I had been impregnated by this other guy who came to me and pretended as if he was really in love with me. But after I had given him all of my heart, that guy, he ended up breaking my heart as well as breaking my mom's heart. But after I had my child, my brother, this child of mine passed away after I had tried to steal another woman's husband. I honestly thought at that time that age was on my side, because this guy that I was dating, he was really old and I was really young. And when I met this guy, he said that I was the most beautiful woman and I had given him the most beautiful experience that he had ever had in his lifetime. As for his wife, she was no longer active in bed because it was like she had some kind of illness that was affecting her, and this illness that she had, it was making her body not to want to sleep with her husband. So the arrangement was that since I was young and since I was too young to become his wife, I will be sort of like a glorified girlfriend of his. Whenever he would feel that he wanted to be with a woman in bed, then he would give me a call. Then we would meet up at whatever place that we would meet up. Then me and him will just enjoy our love making. And he said that he was going to take care of me and my family. And as a child who was being raised up by a single mom, I was the firstborn, and the responsibility that I had was just too much for me. And whenever I would date someone, I was always conscious of that fact that my case was very different from other young girls that were just dating for the sake of love. For me, I could not date or even afford to date a man just for the sake of love, but I had to date only a man who was willing to give me money. I had made a mistake once when I was 17 and had been impregnated. And after that, my mom made me to drink some marijuana seeds and some lucky beans seed so as to close up my womb. And I then listened to her advice, and for sure, my womb was closed up by those seeds that I had drank up. I knew always what to do, and I knew that if I would make a mistake whereby I could not remember properly if the previous night me and the dude that I will be with would have used protection or not, in my small handbag that I would always carry when I would be going to different sleepovers, I always had those morning after pills so as to make sure that I would never fall pregnant again or to be foolish again. Like my mom used to tell me that if a man that is poor has impregnated you, it means that you are very foolish. Those men that are poor, they are not supposed to make you pregnant at all. When I met this old man that I was dating, I had lots of advantages. He honestly thought that the story that I had told him the first day that he proposed love to me was very true, because as someone who had been dating guys that were older than I was, I knew that they were after my age, and I started crying and I lied to him, and I created this story whereby I had been abused by my classmates, and after being abused by my classmates, I then fell pregnant on those guys that had abused me, that were my classmates. I didn't know who the father was. I just fell pregnant. And the reason why I thought that this story was indeed the truth, it was because he thought that in bed I was less experienced, but I was just hiding everything from him. Each and every time that he would teach me something new, I would just laugh at him in my heart, because I had been taught a lot of things by the guys that I had been with, as well as my mother. She had even taught me how to use those ice blocks and mixing those ice blocks with the marula tree bark so as to tighten my private parts. This I used to do whenever I would go on a date with a new guy so that I can impress him, and just for him to think that I was someone who was still brand new in this game of dating. So when I did those things of me washing my private parts with the ice blocks, as well as inserting those ice blocks inside my private parts and washing them with the bark of the marula tree, he found me to be almost complete. I made this old man to be very crazy, and he started to become like my personal blesser. But the thing that was troubling me a lot, it was each and every time when he would give me money, he would always complain. Yes, he would give me money since he was afraid of losing me, but he would do it whilst he was complaining. He was kind of like stingy, and I couldn't perform enough for him because I was starting to get bored with him. I then started ignoring him and I gave up on him completely. I then started dating rich guys. Most of these guys, I met them on Facebook hookup groups, and I would meet up with these guys. I was more like a hidden prostitute, because all of those guys that I would go and meet, all of them, they would give me money. The money that I was getting from all of this, my brother, it was quite a lot, but it was me sleeping with different guys almost each and every weekend. I was at a different guy's place, so I didn't like it. I just wanted to have one blesser. I then returned back to my lover, and this time when I returned back, it was with the advice of my other friend, who told me that it is far much better that you bewitch him just a little bit. But little did I know that his wife had already bewitched him. I traveled, my brother, from the city where I was staying. Then I went to this other village. But when I arrived in that village, whilst I was waiting at the place where the bus had dropped me, I saw that poverty was written all over that village. When I met the man who had came to take me so that he can go with me to that healer's place, this guy, he was crippled, and he had his back was looking like it had been folded up, and he had a big hump on his neck. As we were walking towards that traditional healer's place, I kept on seeing a snake. This snake, I didn't understand if it was following us or not. And I asked him what the hell it was. And he said that this was the ancestor of that traditional healer that was accompanying us to the place of that traditional healer. I asked him if the traditional healer was his uncle or his relative. I asked him because his surname, I recognized that it was very different from the surname that belonged to that traditional healer, as well as the people that were staying in that area. They didn't have that surname. It was not common in that area. He then told me his story of how he had ended up in that village. This man, the story that he told me was that he had once broken into this other household. It was him with his other friends. And after they had broken into that house, when they had sold off the stuff, they started to have spiritual attacks. They went and they collected all of those items that they had stolen from that household in which they had broken into. So his friends then confessed, and they were forgiven by those people that they had raided their house. For him, he refused to confess. He said that I could not confess because the girl that I was dating at that time, she was a pastor's daughter. So he didn't want to humiliate his girlfriend, because his parents had advised their daughter like she was not supposed to be dating him. So this was like the last deal that he wanted to do. And after robbing that place, he wanted to start a small business, but unfortunately this thing then happened to him. So he was still trying to save his relationship, because he had told his girlfriend that he was not capable of doing that. But that traditional healer told him that he was going to instruct one of his goblins to go on top of his soul shoulders. And this goblin, once it had been stuck on top of his shoulders, it was going to be very heavy in such a way that if he failed to confess in time, he would become a crippled and no one will be able to assist him. But that guy who was accompanying me to that traditional healer's place said that he thought that maybe these were just some magical gimmicks, and he was really stubborn and he refused to confess. He said that one night He woke up, and when he woke up, he saw that there was blood that was all over his bed, and he was feeling so much pain. And after that, he said that he saw a cat. This cat was jumping out of his bedroom window, and the window, even though he had closed it when he had gone to bed, but this window, it was now wide open. This cat, he said that when he looked at it just before it had jumped out, he saw that there was some meat that was between its teeth as it was chewing. Then the next morning, when he woke up, he could no longer walk anymore. He then suffered for years, and when he was suffering, his relatives, they were taking care of him. But now that he was bedridden, he could no longer take himself to the toilet. He could not eat properly without someone assisting him. Then his relatives grew tired after his mother had passed away. They went and they left him in Binga, where I met him working as the traditional healers run around boy. I then went into that traditional healer's room, and I was given some herbs, and I was supposed to use these herbs so that I can get married to that old blesser of mine. But little did I know that in this spiritual realm of healers, what happens is that if you visit this other traditional healer, then his charms can only work if the person that you want to bewitch does not have his own traditional healer that is more powerful than the healer that you would have gone to. So in my case, what happened was that my healer was less powerful. He then told me to go and collect some soil from that woman's compound, the one that I wanted to steal her husband. And after collecting the soil, I was supposed to return back to him. So that blesser called me to his place one day when his wife and kids had gone out, sort of like on a vacation, when there was no one there. It was only him and my brother. I went there as usual. When he was fast asleep, I then sneaked outside of the house and I walked towards the washing line. I was really brave, my brother, because I wanted to get married to him. I walked to the back of the house and I walked to where the washing line was, because that is where I was supposed to take the soil, just underneath the washing line. I then knelt down and I said the prayers that as I was instructed to do by that traditional healer, and I started collecting the soil, placing them in a small plastic that I had in my other hand. My brother, when I turned around, I saw a very strange looking animal that was walking on its two legs, yet it looked like a calf and it had the teeth like one of a lion. That creature then suddenly started rushing towards me. And the next thing that happened to me, I saw myself back in bed with my blesser, and he was fast asleep. When my blesser looked at me, he could not even move his body. It was like he was going through a sleep paralysis. I then looked at myself and I saw there was full of mud, like the nightgown that I was wearing, it was full of mud. So I then said that before the blesser wakes up and finds out that I have mud all over my body, let me rush to the bathroom. But my brother, when I tried to get out of bed, I saw that my left hand could not work anymore. It was paralyzed. It was just feeling numb. I could no longer feel my left hand anymore. I then went to the bathroom. I tried cleaning myself, but I was so traumatized I could not do it. I started crying until he came, and when he came, he asked me what had happened, and I didn't want to confess. I just told him that when I was outside, I met a creature that attacked me. I said that I had gone outside to get some fresh air. After I had told him this story, I stayed like this for 1 year. That blesser, with everything that had happened to me, he tried helping me, but he quickly dumped me when he saw that I could not recover in time. Out of pain one day, after he had told me that he could no longer date me anymore because of my condition, I went back to his house. I was so angry. When I went to his house, I met his wife. This was like the first time that we had met face to face. She had insulted me on the phone and I had never responded to any of her SMSs. So this was like the first time. When I went inside her compound, that was when I knew that she was the one who had bewitched me. She said, "So this stroke that I have given you is not enough to keep you from my husband. Well, if you want to become my husband's second wife, you are free. You can come and stay with me and you can become his second wife and we can be sleeping in the same bedroom. I am not going to give you another room. She then went indoors. So I was just there, my brother, feeling very hurt. And when she came back, I saw that she was holding a small 10-liter bucket and she poured poo on top of me, meaning that when she had gone inside her house, she had gone to the toilet and she had made some poo in that bucket. She poured it on top of me, even though her husband tried defending me because I knew that he loved me. I stayed there for a week, but I then received a call that my child had passed away under very mysterious circumstances. I was so heartbroken and I didn't know what to do anymore. I then packed my clothes and I left that blesser's house. When I left my brother going to attend my child's funeral, he gave me $2,000 for the funeral. But my brother, at that time, money was not even enough, even though I was really in need of it. I was deeply hurt. Even right now, my left hand, it is very difficult to use. I can't use it properly. Everything that I have to do, I use one hand and it is a struggle. And I am still living in that lifestyle whereby I am a prostitute, because now with the way that I am, what else can I do than to sell my body? Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me. Then we had to give you this translation. So these rituals, we were supposed to perform them for only 3 months. Then we were supposed to return that skull back to that traditional healer. But when COVID came, we didn't know what to do anymore. That was when we spoke with our church friend, and she then told us that she didn't even know what to do anymore, because the last message that she had sent to that herbalist was like, what are we supposed to do during this COVID-19? Because on her own rituals that she was given regularly, she is supposed to go and visit that herbalist. So then that herbalist told him that he was rushing back to his country. Our friend told us that this herbalist thought that maybe the world was coming to an end, so he had returned back to his country, because he said that if anything is going to happen to me, it is far much better that it happens to me when I am close to my own relatives. So we are stuck at this moment. We do not even know what to do. This monkey skull, it is getting heavier and heavier by the day. Back in the day, my husband, he was able to lift it up with only one hand. Right now, when he tries to lift that monkey skull, it is very heavy. And for us to blame that friend of ours, that one that we met in church, we do not even know if we should blame her or what, because she also lost her own husband because of these rituals that they were doing. So my brother, me coming here, I do not even know what to do anymore. The way that my daughter died, it is so painful. I do not even want to talk about it. All that I want is for for someone to assist me. One healer who was from Zim said that for 60,000 rands, he was willing to help me. But he said that what we have to do when you will be helping us, I have to select one amongst my granddaughters. And after selecting one amongst my granddaughters, then we are supposed to make a ceremony for her so that she can now belong to that tokoloshi. This is the only way that we can survive. But when I look at my granddaughters, I feel so sorry for them, because if we choose anyone amongst them, the one that we would have chosen, she will never be able to have children in her life. And that traditional healer from Zim encouraged us to do it very quickly before our granddaughters will be mature, before they can start dating. Otherwise, you won't be able to assist us. So my brother, we are stuck. We do not know if we should perform another sacrifice, because me and my husband, we are now tired, because each and every time when we have to perform these rituals, we have to go out of our house like mad people, removing our clothes. Then we start making love whilst we will be sleeping on the ground, and when I will be holding that monkey skull. All that we want right now is for someone who can assist us, someone who can give us advice. As for those people who will say you can try to pray, please just stop it. I just want someone who can assist me so that this thing can be removed very quickly. For me to be where I am right now, I got it in church. So I have lost all hope. If it was not for the pressure that was given to me by the people that I used to attend church with, maybe I could be living my life. But because of the pressure that I was given in church, it made me to perform all of these evil rituals. Dear listeners, right there was a message that we received via our email address. Indeed, strange things do happen in this world. Please let us speak with her in the comment section. Strange things do happen. That traditional healer was saying that for 60,000 rands, I can have you sacrifice one of your granddaughters so that she will never be able to have children or to get married in her life. Just imagine selling off the future of your granddaughter for 60,000 rands so that you can just sleep peacefully at night.